Okay. Here we go now to the show now with James from the Internet. Now, James from the Internet. Did you know I used to do videos and I would say, "Hi, I'm iDanSimpson from the Internet." I did that for years, and then I saw you do it, and I'm like, "Well, I guess I can't do it anymore. This guy's got it." Yeah.
No, it was totally random. I have the same name as a famous person who also happens to be pardon my French, he's a real dick.
Yeah.
And I used to get a ludicrous amount of hate mail and messages back when Twitter was in its infancy and nobody knew how to use it. And it got ridiculous. So I literally just went to James from the Internet and made it vague. And, like if you ever do one thing that gets any kind of traction, whatever you say or do or wearing, that's what you're stuck with for the rest of your life. Like Tim Pool's going to be wearing a beanie till he's 70. D. Ray McKesson's going to be wearing a puffy blue vest until he's dead. So I got stuck with James from the Internet. It just happened. Or at least I wasn't wearing a puffy blue vest.
Yeah. I would like that blue vest though. It looks like a little thunder shirt. It would keep me calm all day.
I mean, it would, but then I think back to him going to meet with Obama and literally everybody's wearing a suit and a tie and he's wearing a shirt, a tie, and a blue puffy vest. Ooh, that sucks. The White House PR staff was like, D. Ray, could you come here a minute, please? Could you put on the vest?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're eating dinner in the White House wearing a fucking life preserver. Right. So, yeah. It just sort of happened.
Hilarious. James, give me 1 second to fix this one thing here. Yeah, buddy. All right. So, I guess let's get down to it, James. Let's do the interview. Are you ready? Let's do it, huh?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, let's start real quick. Your name, your pronouns, and where people can find you on the interwebs, James.
My name is James. I am from the Internet. I am a default, and you can literally only find me on Twitch at this point because I've been banned from every other platform. But of course, it's not James from the Internet because there's some random Russian dude named Yevgeny who decided to be James from the Internet on Twitch. So I'm James from the Wonternet, which makes it so much better.
James from the Wonternet. I didn't know. Do you actually have you been saying it like that to teach people the difference?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Okay. So James, let's talk more. What are your current projects? What are you up to these days? What do you talk about on your Twitch channel?
So I do a daily YouTube video for Act TV, which I believe on YouTube is written out. It's ACT.DOT.TV, but it's Act.TV. They've been around for probably since the end of Occupy. I've been working. They're my client for now 6 years. So I've been making content for them for a long time. I make memes every day, which you'll see across scattered social media platforms. I do a daily YouTube video. I tend to focus on very specific things, how the police state is fascistic, how all landlords are parasites, how end stage capitalism is a trip. But I try to put it in a lens of current events, but I definitely try to put some history, some theory. I try to put some more meat on the bone than just, churning and burning an article that somebody else already wrote, because you could read that yourself. Yeah. So I do that every day, and then I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays in the afternoon. And honestly, it's kind of like my therapy at this point. COVID, haven't left the house in 16 months. I'm, staring at a camera, making videos, very precise, thought out videos, 7-8 hours a day. So a couple of days a week I stream, and it's more like I blow off steam, and we say we're going to cover 20 news articles. I cover 2, and then I play disco and Russian hard bass, and the day just gets away from me. I'm a very unprincipled streamer, as opposed to my YouTube videos, which are very principled. So great. That's pretty much what I do with my time.
Yeah. Yeah, your videos are great. Your Act.TV videos are wonderful. And this is cool to to meet someone like that does this. Like, folks, you can do this. You can make this kind of content creation your life, and there are obviously different pathways, but James is showing us one. It's always sort of fascinating to go, oh, these are the people who do the things that I'm like watching on Facebook or that pop up here and there on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I trip out. I work for Act TV, and sometimes I trip out. Like, I'll go through the Facebook feed, and all of a sudden I'll look, and we're producing like a live broadcast for Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner, and you're like, oh wow, that's a trip. Yeah, we're doing that. Cool. Like, because we're just it's so digital, and it's so so decentralized nowadays with social media combined with the COVID and everybody doing live stream instead of in person. And there's literally, it's just like too much to keep up with, especially if you work or tend to dwell in the digital space.
There's so much to keep up with. It's truly
it's exhausting,
overwhelming, and like I've sort of realized, like, this is my full-time job, I guess, to like keep up with it, and there's no possible way one person can. So that's why I get immediately suspect of people who have like an unreasonable amount of confidence in these in certain kinds of things. I don't know. You'll learn to dial it in. What other James? What else keeps you busy? Hobbies? What? I don't know. Tell us about yourself.
Literally, well, to your point.
Yeah.
I found that aggregating social media is literally its own full-time job. Like, even if you do nothing else with it, like we're at that point in between everything that's going on in the world, being very stuck and enclosed in small bubbles because of COVID, most work being moved online, news being moved online. So I find that trying to find ways to not consume content digitally, that's really the hobby at this point. Not even having a hobby. The hobby is finding ways to not stare at a screen for 6 to 8 hours at a clip. That's literally the thing. And I'm up in New England, so it's literally like it's like 40 degrees and raining right now. So I know there are parts of the country where people are frolicking, and this is not one of them. We're not quite in the frolic season yet. But I like to get out. We got rabbits and squirrels and shit running around the yard. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Well, anything else that we want to mention in the "Where Are They Now" category before we chat about your leftward bound journey, James? Anything else keeping you busy? Yeah.
Y'all know where to find me. I do the thing, and I say the things, and it's cool.
Awesome. And yeah. Hey, usually I shoehorn this in there towards the beginning. But James, of course, we've reached out to you in the spirit of building leftist unity, strength, and power. And by the way, thank you for being willing to join us today and being willing to share your story. Really appreciate that. Maybe I'll remember to edit this out and stick it at the beginning to make it less awkward. But I just want to make sure I told you.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. All right. Now we get to discuss that leftward bound journey, James. A little bit of a chat about your pathway towards leftism, towards the show. We don't tell people that they have to define their ideology or their politics if they don't want to, if they're not comfortable. They're encouraged to if they want to. So feel free to sort of dig in there, and we'll see where this takes us.
Okay. Well, I would say currently I'm very comfortable telling people that I am on a good day. I am a pragmatic anarchist. Okay. I would love to see a full dissolution of both capitalism and the state. However, I acknowledge that you can't just, put on a black sweatsuit and, throw a brick through a window and scream, "No lords, no masters," and huzzah, it's over, So I tend to approach things from a macro end, but I was, for lack of a better word, I was pretty much a full chud for like forever. Like I thought I was Joe Sixpack. It turned out I was Joe Chud. I just lacked the vocabulary to know what it was. And I mean, like I don't say this in a bad way. I was, I don't know, an NPC, a background character. I had a nondescript job. I drove a nondescript car. I did nondescript things for a nondescript amount of money, lather, rinse, repeat on the daily for decades. Like the vast majority of people in the country. So I was never very political. I think I was always pissed off. If you're familiar with the aged old Billy Joel song, "The Angry Young Man," with his working class ties and his radical plans, That was me. I was generally pissed off. I couldn't tell you why, because again, I lacked the wide view to sort of look around and go, oh, that's why I'm pissed off. Like, and it turns out that most people are pissed off about capitalism. You just don't know it. But early on, like I was, I grind 80 hours a week. If I'm lucky, I got a couple $100, in the bank account at the end of the month, and move from shitty apartment to shitty apartment with hand-me-down furniture to hand-me-down furniture. I did this for decades. And after a brief dalliance with the Ron Paul people, which was sort of probably the first amount of any sort of like political knowledge I had, because again, the Ron Paul people it's a very easy place to fall into if you're, quote, Joe Sixpack and you hang out with working class people. And it's like, hey, all politicians suck, whatever. I don't care about politics. And go, hey, this guy's a politician and he tells other politicians that they should stop taking people's money. And I'm like, huh, what? So I kind of got like I got sucked into that. I was living in Florida, so it's very easy, especially in Florida. Like it's the New Hampshire of the South, just with more mosquitoes and fewer books.
That. Never heard that.
Oh, cheers. There you go. So that was the first time I ever even like really paid attention. And by that point, I was probably in like my late 30s, and I've been grinding for decades. So I think it was more born out of like frustration, and then finally talking to people like I worked with, and then figuring out that everybody else was as pissed off as I was. Mm-hmm. And then one of them turned around and said, hey, this guy's pissed off too. And I was like, oh. And then it just like, after a while, I sort of, when you hang out with a lot of libertarians, you begin to realize how much you don't like libertarians. so that moved me away from that. And then oddly enough, the person who was my, I guess, my co-pilot in moving towards the left and radicalism was Nancy Grace.
Nancy Grace.
Nancy
the
Grace.
Sensationalist helicopter chasing she was more like a court TV type person. Yeah, wow. Okay, well, explain that. How the fuck does that work? She's a communist, as we all know.
Oh yeah. She's
Kappa.
Anyway, so yeah. I worked in TV on and off, freelance, never full time. I had friends who worked in TV. I sort of fell into a loop where I worked in what's called live variety. It's essentially award shows and live sporting events. So the work is always sporadic. It's like a week at a time. You make a lot of money because the demand for it is more, you have to, why fly people all over the country to do a show from LA if there are people in the city who are already doing the show? Mm-hmm. And I was living in Atlanta after having lived in LA for a while. And so the advantage was that I had LA credits, and I knew, I had worked for line producers and segment producers and whatnot in LA. And so when they would put out an ad for a gig coming through Atlanta, like, they'd have America's Got Talent auditions, in LA. It would be like a week of work. Or So You Think You Could Dance, a week of work. Or Gordon Ramsay comes in and does 4 episodes of Kitchen Nightmares. And it's 6 weeks of work.
Oh.
And I randomly got a call one day to do Dancing with the Stars, which is sort of funny. And it's an LA show, but it just so happened that year that they had a guest there. One of their people lived in Atlanta. And the first month or so of the shooting, they do at the person's home city. Like they fly the dancer out there and they find a dance studio and they do rehearsals in their city for like a month before they even go to LA for the live shows. And you film all that, and that becomes like the little vignette pieces they play before the people dance around live. And they had like a producer who was pregnant. I literally ass backwards my way into it as a story producer, and I got Erin Andrews from ESPN because she lived in Atlanta. And so I didn't think anything of it. I did the show for 3 weeks. I went home. The next year they called me up again, and they don't tell you who the guests are because they have the big national announcement on like a Sunday night. Like it's a primetime announcement. Who's going to be on this season of Dancing with the Stars? And so I got Hines Ward the second year. It was a, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning wide receiver. And then the third year, I got Nancy Grace. Like 3 years in a row, they had somebody from Atlanta. And literally, like, I didn't know about it. Like, I woke up on a Monday morning and my phone was just filled with text messages of people like, you got stuck with Nancy Grace. I'm like, what? What? So I end up following Nancy Grace around with a video camera for a month while she learns how to dance.
Oh my God.
I can't make this shit up, people. And basically every day she'd rehearse for 8 hours, and then she'd take like me and the dancer dude who was her partner, this guy Tristan, and we'd go to the CNN tower with her, and she'd do makeup in her pre-show, and then she'd shoot her studio show on HLN. It was like, the CNN version of Court TV. And she had a very small studio in the CNN tower in Atlanta. And like it got to the point where I was going in with her every single day. So essentially, like I had a staff pass for CNN, even though I didn't work there, because it was just easier than going through security. They have bomb dogs, they have metal detectors, and this was 10, 12 years ago. And so you get to walk around a lot when you have a pass. And I've worked in live TV, so I understand what it's like to call a show. There's 8, 10, 12 cameras out there, and there's a producer and a director, and they're talking to the camera people, and they have them all up on the screen. They're, camera 2, go to camera 3, go to this one. And it was right around when Occupy was happening in New York City. And so I'd walk by the studio a lot every day, and you'd see they'd have 10, 15, 20 cameras up of, Zuccotti Park, and then it started being Zuccotti Park and then protests elsewhere. And the day they evicted everybody from Zuccotti Park, I was literally standing in the control room in CNN, and it's like they have a wall at 64 monitors. And you can see like the cops are just going in, they're beating people like they owe them money. And they were running snatch and grab formations where they all get dressed up in tack gear, and they basically run into like a pack of people, run headlong like a spear like this, and then other cops would come behind them, and then they'd push everybody out of the way, and then they'd run in and snatch the people that they want to snatch and run away. And so they were getting the journalists, the leaders, the people who had the live stream codes for OWS live stream. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And I'm like, yeah, this is what it looks like when the cops come in, they beat the shit out of you, whatever. Yeah. And I'm watching the CNN guy call the shots. Cops are wailing on people, and they're picking shots, and they're going to dudes like 2 blocks away. Like some stone dude on a corner with a bongo eating a cheese sandwich with like a, coexist t-shirt. Mm-hmm. Nothing's happening here, Bob, back to you. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I work in TV, so I know how the sausage is made. And yet right now I'm sitting here at this very moment and I'm utterly appalled watching the sausage. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, holy, like, they do it, but you don't know they do it. Other people, media's crooked, and like, not because it's, the elitist cabal, it's just, they're fucking corporate and they're worried about their advertisers and their sponsors.
Hey guys.
And I've known this for a decade because I've worked in TV. But I've never seen live obfuscation of news in real time before. Wow. Mm-hmm. And it really fucking tripped me out. And the next few weeks, like every day, like I stopped going to CNN with Nancy, and I'd like go home after rehearsal and I'd like flip on the computer, and I started looking for all these live streams that I had seen up on the CNN board. And that was how I found even fucking Tim Pool. I mean, back in the day, his like Timcasters, Tim 98 or whatever, the OWS live stream, Global Revolution, AKA Global Rev, Revolution News, Rev News, all these streamers in Zuccotti Park, Mark Apollo, Radowski was there at the time with We Are Change. And I found myself just like glued to like my computer screen. I was staying up until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every morning, just watching fucking live stream. And then I started finding live streams from Oakland and, Punk Boy in San Francisco and Oak for Annie and Stax in St. Louis. And And I got sucked into that because I was like, I've been working in TV for 10 years producing absolute shit. And then when something important happens and I'm sitting in the TV studio, they literally did the shittiest thing possible. Yet I can turn on the computer and watch live unadulterated coverage without some fucking goon who's answering the red phone from the top floor to turn shots off.
Mhm.
And it blew my mind. Like it literally blew my mind. And like 2 weeks later, I walked down into the park in downtown Atlanta, and I was like, "Hey, my name's James, and I work in TV. What can I do?" And somebody came over with a laptop with a webcam, and they're like, "Congratulations, you're the live streamer," and they walked away. And I was like, "Oh, what?" And that was it. And like, I haven't had a real job since then. That CNN job with Nancy Grace is literally the last job I had. I've been doing this for a decade now. There you go.
Okay. I don't think anyone said Nancy Grace, and I don't think they'll ever say it again.
I win.
You win the show.
I win.
This is your show now.
Davis High School football rules.
Amazing. Okay, so I have to insist we move along, James, only because that was just a big long story. And well, the truth is, normally we have a hard stop at the hour. I don't right now, and we can go a little over time if you're okay.
You do you, brother. I'm easy peasy. I don't stream for a couple hours.
Then let's keep digging in. I want to continue to ask you more then about your leftward bound journey. You're a fascinating guy, and that story was so good. I'm wondering what other tricks you got up your sleeve for us today. James, yeah,
that was the big nasty, man. That was it.
That was okay. That was pretty damn good, though.
It's all downhill from here.
All right. Well, if it's if it's degrees worse, that's fine. But because that was pretty darn good. All right, James. Hey, let's keep chatting. What other? So you saw Occupy. You saw what Noam Chomsky was talking about. Manufactured consent, how the media makes their media and how it's not exactly truthful. You saw the Occupy protesters get their asses beat, and that was sort of maybe one of the things that kicked you off towards leftism as you became their streamer. What else? What other aspects of politics, of perhaps leftist theory, or of history in general, any other personal experiences of your own or of others that help to pull your heart and mind to the left?
I got sucked in rather quick. Like I went from somebody who was fairly, apolitical up until maybe, the Ron Paul brush, like 2 years before the Occupy thing. So I didn't, in a weird sort of way, I just ran headlong because I had no context. I had no fear because I didn't know what I literally didn't know what I didn't know. So I'm just, and I tend to be, I'm like the Kool-Aid guy. Oh yeah. And then you go running through the wall. Like I'm like that anyway. I have 2 gears, it's just sleeping and Kool-Aid guy. Like that's, so I did like the Kool-Aid guy shit. And, Atlanta was very specific because Atlanta during the Occupy became sort of like the blueprint for home eviction defense. Because Atlanta was one of the largest housing markets that got just slaughtered by the 2008 housing crash. And they had a nice combination. They had sort of like an anarchist block that worked out of an anarchist house that was already in Atlanta, where they did things like Food Not Bombs, which I'd never heard of, up until then. And they also had a very strong radical black caucus, just because, where the park was in Atlanta was literally 8 blocks away from MLK's church. Like, okay. So it's that area, like John Lewis's former district, like right down there. So it was very interesting in that it was a lot of fighting. Like it took me a week with leftists to realize that, oh my God, leftists. The circular leftist firing squad is just, you watch it a few times, you're like, what? This is why y'all lose. Okay, got it. But when they did come to consensus and come up with something and everybody had a piece of it, was fucking phenomenal. It was a diversity of ideas and tactics. So Atlanta became very good at home defense. They would literally march 50 anarchists over to somebody's house that was about to get foreclosed on, and they'd put up tents in the people's front yard, and then they go steal police barricades and put the police barricades around the house, like the metal ones that you could zip tie together, and then they'd have 50 anarchists sleeping in tents on the front yard. And to evict somebody, a sheriff has to officially post an eviction notice on a front door. So they had the radical Black Caucus and the people who knew the neighborhoods driving around and like messaging each other on two-way Nextel beepers. So you'd know when sheriffs and cops were coming. And then you'd have 50 anarchists sitting in the front yard of a house to where you literally can't walk up to it. And this is like in predominantly Black neighborhoods. It's not like they were out in like the bougie white suburbs. Like, and it's 50 white anarchists whose like parents like paid to send them to Georgia Tech. They're just like living in tents in somebody's front yard. And they got very good at it in Atlanta. They would break up the monthly home sales on the front steps of City Hall for repossessions with like noise and sound demonstrations to the point where they couldn't do the auctions to sell off the houses. Other occupiers from around the country sent people to Atlanta to like learn their home eviction defense tactics. And so that was like, because that was like a lot of the focus of what people were doing. That's a lot of what I'd live stream. I got to spend a lot of time with, anarchists, and I got to learn like a lot of the theory and the economic structure of the problem with housing and finance in general. And, then you talk to the radical Black Caucus and, 50, 60, 70-year-old people who have lived in this part of Atlanta for 3 generations, who have seen redlining, they've seen regentrification, they've seen how subsidies go to other areas to further, knock down redlined areas. And so it wasn't like I picked up a book and read some, a piece of theory and went, oh, well, now I'm really into economics. Like, it was like I was like neck deep in shit from day one. And it wasn't until like every once in a while I'd get a chance to come up for the air and like gulp and look around and be like, oh, wait, now this, and this makes sense. And so it was a slow process mostly from covering events. But it was because the people who were involved had a lot of knowledge and shared their knowledge in action rather than just in theory. It wasn't just everybody went to like a barn somewhere and read Marx and talked about Marx. Like, you're literally learning about like police defense tactics, like while police are tear gassing you. Like, it's an effective mechanism to inspire you to learn quick. So that's sort of just, that was kind of like how the evolution happened. But I definitely got into the power dynamic and the triangle of economics as it relates to housing, subsidies and zoning, and banking and finance infrastructure, because that was really like the triangle of doom that just was happening in 2008. That was sort of like the epicenter of everything that happened and why people were pissed off. And for the first time in my life, I knew why I was angry and I could articulate it. And it made me very fucking dangerous. So it was sort of, it wasn't just, I mean, I know people who like, oh, I was going to college and I randomly went to a lecture and there was this Chomsky dude. And, the next thing I know, I'm wearing a red hat and, screaming down with the bourgeoisie. Like, it wasn't anything like that at all. Like, it was years and years and years of just covering stuff and talking to people while I was on the ground places.
Very, very unique pathway there. Boots on the ground. The boots on the ground pipeline to leftism. You realize you're a leftist through your actions. You're like, holy shit, I'm a leftist. Yeah. Yeah. Or not. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No. Trust me.
Yeah.
I spent so much time being like horrible to the anarchists because they were just, it was a disorganized shit show all the time. Plus they were like, a lot of them were bougie anarchists whose parents were paying $50 grand a year for them to go to college. And I'm like, and I'm 40 and I still got that chip on my shoulder because I just finished grinding those shitty jobs for 3 decades. But so like once I realized I was an actual anarchist, it still took me years to actually say it. Because I was like, oh God, I'm one of those people who I literally like spent years insulting. So it was the whole thing's it's a humbling evolutionary experience.
It can be. Can't be, but James, it's valuable. I think that you're sharing this with us. Yeah. Awesome. Let's keep digging in. I want to ask you next, if you could distill your life and experiences and perhaps imagine having a conversation with a younger version of yourself or just sharing with someone in chat, what life wisdom could you share in this next category? Hashtag be best.
See, sadly, I think from a more pragmatic standpoint, I would think things like don't want to eat the pills that have the brown flecks in them. Things like that. I mean,
right over my head. Don't eat the pills with brown flecks.
It's a Disco Biscuit reference.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, honestly, like if I had quote like woken up earlier, let's say, you know, if a younger me or somebody like me, I met me in college and, you know, started me down the road of Marx or leftist theory or whatever else, I don't know that I would have ended up here. So like, I don't think back like, oh, look, there's like 20 years of leftism I just left on the table. I left all that meat on the bone. And I don't think of it that way because I don't think I would have been here if I had had fucking knowledge and skill in my head when I was like 20, I'd have been in jail by 25. Like I totally would have. So I mean, I would tell myself then the same things I tell myself today that I still ignore. Like you need to fucking slow down or you're going to blow a gasket. Like you can't do everything yourself. You can't do everything in a day. Like my problem's always been knowing limitations. Because I kind of always had the view of, you know, you put limitations on yourself. If you don't, oh, you can reach for the stars. That's the kind of thing you tell yourself when you're grinding, you know, 80 hours a week for shit bag. But yeah, maybe the not blow a gasket thing, and you got to chill sometimes. And I guess now what being a woke or leftist person would what y'all call self-care now. I never did that shit. And I'd have probably, like, if I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be maybe save a little bit, like leave a little in the tank. Like, cause I was always like, oh yeah, I'm not going to make it to 40. And now I'm at 40 and I'm all like high mileage and all my crap's broke down. And I'm like, shit, I'm not dead, but I used all my vital energy. Like, now what do I do? It's now like I'm all messed up. Like I wish I hadn't been like drive it like you stole it every single day for decades. You know, maybe if I'd left a little gas in the tank, I wouldn't be so damn tired now. That'd probably be the best piece of advice I could give myself. I'm sorry, it's not leftist, like a leftist sort of piece of advice, but in general, like if you learn how to cope and deal with your life and find balance, everything becomes easier. And again, when you're moving at 100 miles an hour all the time, you lack the ability to have that perspective. And I did get like old and broken down to figure it out.
James, leave some gas in the tank. Excellent advice. I like that one a lot. I like that one. So then that brings us to the Leftist Inquisition, the questionnaire that everyone loves and nobody hates. Feel free to pass or skip any question. I won't take it personally.
Yeah. Hell passes. Come on. Hit me.
Okay. Let's go. First question then. Do you have a favorite word?
Fuck.
I love it. You can't fucking swear on this channel, though. Shit.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, man.
God damn it, dude.
From a utilitarian standpoint, you can use it as every single part of speech. You can use it for almost any emotion in utterance or exclamation. I'm very much, you know, a pragmatic functionality, logistics sort of person.
Yep.
And something plug and play like that. That's what you look for. That's the go-to. It's Sam Jackson taught himself to stop stuttering, saying motherfucker.
Really?
That's why he says it all the time. He has a bad stutter.
I didn't know that.
That's how he would like reground himself when he had a bad stuttering problem. He found it was a word that he could say it very loudly and quickly, and he didn't stutter it. And it would like stop him from getting on a stuttering jag.
Hey.
So that's why it's the word he plugs in everywhere when he's searching for a word before the stutter kicks in. So
you do that wrong, you sound like you have Tourette's, though.
I mean, that
Yeah.
it's a possibility, but
Yeah.
I think fuck is just a
It's
phenomenally
wonderful.
utilitarian word.
Do you have a least favorite word?
Moist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Why? Damp suffices. You're good.
So it's not the idea of what it's also is it the way it sounds?
It's the sound of
Yeah.
like I can hear the moistness in people's mouth when they say the word. Like anytime somebody says moist, this is what I hear. That's what I hear. Yeah, see? You're like, it's the worst. It's just the worst.
Oh my gosh. Moist. All right. Then James, do you have a favorite drug, vice, or guilty pleasure? If you want, you can name one of each.
Like previous or current?
Sure. Yes or no. I don't there's no wrong answer.
Previously, all of them.
At the same time.
All right. Hey, if I take the blue one and the green one, will I see red? Let's find out. Dude, it's all in the name of science. No, I would say vice, honestly. Probably smoking. It's the one thing I haven't quit doing.
Cigarettes.
Like I've quit everything else. Yeah. I used to all the hard bad drugs I used to do, even drinking. Like I can't, my wife laughs if I have like a second beer at night. She's like, "Oh, someone's going to sleep." Like but I still smoke. That's probably that's the one that hung on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What guilty pleasure or pass?
Guilty pleasure. I saying video games sounds kind of silly until you realize that I'm like a 50-year-old guy with bad eyesight, and like I've been sitting at a computer for ages. So I like playing on my Xbox with headphones on, and I like playing Fortnite and listening to 10-year-old kids cry after I kill them. In a video game, literally in a video game, or somebody clips that literally in the video game. Because it's the only time it's socially acceptable to make a 10-year-old child cry and then laugh because they can't see you.
That is really funny. I also love Fortnite.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
It's a dirty pleasure people don't discuss.
It is sort of a guilty pleasure. Then next question. I don't know. You sort of look like... Oh, hold on. My next question is about sounds, actually. Hold on. I got ahead of myself there. All right, James, a favorite sound or a noise that you love?
Favorite sound or noise I love? I got it. The 808. I am a sucker for the tweaky high 808, very specific, like Florida Electro Breaks 90s 808 sound.
The drum machine, the TRO 808.
Yeah. When you hear an 808 hi-hat going, and you know what it is. Like it's very specific. It's not like nobody else uses it in the same way. It's a very drilled down. I hear that and it's like Pavlovian every time.
Beautiful. Is there a sound or noise that you do intensely dislike or even hate?
The sound of a car collision. Ooh. I've been in so many car accidents, and it's after a while you don't like think about it, or like your visual memory and stuff gets distorted. But like that crumble sound, that half-second crumble sound, like every time, I hate that. Like I could be walking down the road and hear that sound. I'm like, oh shit. Like I could tell you how bad a collision it was by the sound. It just like it sets me off. Yeah.
Yikes. That sounds terrible. You're right. The next question is a favorite cheese question. You look like a guy that may have been raised in Wisconsin. Otherwise, you only get one answer to this question. Your favorite cheese. If you were raised in Wisconsin, you get two. That's the rule.
Wow. Now I feel cheated. No, New York, actually. And as such, since it's New York, I'm going to go with the provolone. Now, granted, it's a hard cheese, but you can slice it. It's good on sandwiches. You use it in parmesans. You use it in lasagna. It stands up good. Mm-hmm. And it has enough flavor, but it's still utilitarian. It's not like that crappy American cheese, in the slices in the plastic. It's just oil. Like a good like smoky provolone, clutch cheese. And the melt factor is great. Like it literally almost looks like cellophane when you melt it, right? Like it's good stuff. Provolone.
Provolone. All right, so that brings us to the reincarnation question. If you came back as some plant or a non-human animal, and if you somehow could choose, what would it be?
Meerkat.
Ooh, points for originality.
They're dope as hell.
Yeah.
They're communal. They live together. They hunt together. They're all freaking adorable. They tend to kill enemies that are much larger and much more powerful than themselves through the power of unity. And they're resourceful as hell. And they got cute little fingers like raccoons.
Awesome. Meerkats. I love that answer. Haven't heard that one yet. All right, then. If heaven and God exist, what would you like to hear God say as you arrive at your version, whatever your version of the pearly gates, at the end of your life? What would you like to hear God say?
I'm not going to hold the 6 years of atheism against you. I don't. That's pretty much it. Like I'm full on betting that that's not a thing with the way I live my life. So if that ends up being a thing, I got nothing. Like I'm literally showing up going, oh shit. Oh man. Oh God. Oh, I can't even say, oh God now. It's, oh, you. Like, that'd be bad. You fucking train wreck, man.
Oops. Shit. Yeah, my bad. Well, prove me wrong, I guess. Yeah, why? Yeah, all you had to do was show up once before, and I would. Okay, anyways. All right. So, James, I'd love for you to name an influential leftist, be them dead or alive, that you'd like to meet, and we say you can define leftist any way you like.
I would probably go, and it's almost like Homerish or hero-ish, but I would go Zach De La Rocha. Because I've literally gotten to meet everybody from Rage. I've gotten to see Prophets of Rage. I've never gotten to talk to Zach, and he is like the mad warrior poet. And, like everybody's capable of some form of creative expression and some sort of art. And then the thing you're really left to wonder when you look at people is how people who are exceptional at it, like, how do they, like, everybody has something in them. Like, how do you pull that out? Like, how do you harness that and pull that out? And like, if you take all the Rage Against the Machine music away and you just read the lyrics to Rage songs, like in their poetic form, and it's just, it's like this flawless combination of like raw and beautiful. And it like you read it and it comes from a place where, somebody had to pull that out of themselves. Like that just doesn't happen. So to be able to know how to sort of like harness like that rawest form of things and then create something with it, that would be aces. That's you'd have so many more people articulating messages in such a clearer form and in such a more inspiring and beautiful form, rather than nowadays where it's just, how many times can I motherfuck somebody in 280 characters on Twitter? Like we're past that point, and I'd love to be able to sort of like capture that and figure that out.
Yeah. Let's say you had the chance. You had the chance to chat with Zach and have any kind of hypothetical conversation. You can imagine how do you think it might go? What do you think they might say?
Oh God. I've no idea. I've literally never even met the man, so I have no gauge of him as a person. I got the idea that he tends to spend a lot of time by himself and a lot of time on like the writing process and stuff. So I would have to assume it would be like pulling teeth, because most people who are like that, who are very much their art, their creativity is very much like it's an internalized process.
Yeah,
like people like that, they're tough to nail their foot to the floor.
Yeah,
it's because they're off at a corner somewhere, sort of just pulling all that energy in and figuring out what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then that brings us to one more question. A favorite leftist book Anything you liked reading? Well, it doesn't look like you do a lot of reading.
I mean,
wait, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, I was wrong.
I read a lot of trash fiction. I read a lot as almost like an exercise. I loved. I hate to say it because it's almost passe now, but when you go back to Taibbi's earlier stuff, when he was in on the Cokes and the giant vampire squid, there was a whole section of books like right in there, because that was right around when Naomi Klein put out Disaster Capitalism, was it? Or I'm
sorry, I have it right here in my.
I know I'm
Shock Doctrine.
Yeah, Shock Doctrine. So a lot of stuff in that vein, but Taibbi was one of the people I've always said he had that rare gift where he can take something that's difficult and explain it simply, but not make you feel like you're being talked down to, so that you'll continue to engage with the content. Mm-hmm. And so you can read like 500-600, a full hardcover, and especially when he's talking about economics and stuff like that, he'll drill it down to where you can understand it, and then you can apply it to stuff. Mm-hmm. And sort of once you make that connection in your head, it makes it a lot easier to digest next level stuff. So I'd say probably almost any of his earlier stuff I really enjoyed.
Awesome. Yeah. Are we talking about like his Rolling Stone stuff? Like when he's in Rolling Stone, writing for the Rolling Stone, or does he have other books and stuff that he's written that I'm not aware of?
He's got like 6 books, I think.
Damn.
Now.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
I did a little bit of research for the I Can't Breathe book he did for Erica. Okay. But it was like much later. It was like a decade later after he had written a lot of his Occupy based, Vampire Squid, Shearson Lehman. He was all in on a lot of that stuff early on. Yeah, somebody just put it in your chat. Griftopia was really good. I think I'm in a chapter in Griftopia, actually.
You're going to what? Griftopia?
I think I was in a chapter of Griftopia.
Oh, cool. Wow. Look at that.
It's my life is so random, dude.
Yeah, no, that I relate in some level, but not on that level. Wow, that's a good one. I'll try to dig into some Matt Taibbi. Good to know. So, wait, what's my next question? It's a good one, I'm sure. Oh, our last question, James. Do you have any streamer tips? As a viewer of streams, as now a streamer yourself, a pro streamer, what tips would you give either to a veteran or a beginner?
You will never get to all of your content, ever. Ever. You will never get to all of your content. Just beat that in people's heads. You'll never, I don't care how many, I got 36 tabs and a bucket of memes. Let's see what we do. 5 hours later, you're like, oh, look, let's move on to our third story. Like, trust me, people, you will never stay on track. You will never get to all your content. And if any of you do, please teach me how, please. Please. Just be cool with it. Just accept you're not going to get to all the content. You're going to feel much better about yourself.
There you go. Yeah. Very distracting chat for you, huh?
I do the streaming because of the interaction, because I make the videos every day, and the videos are very much in a vacuum. So when I stream, I'm literally having a conversation with 80 people. Like, it's not just me ranting and raving. So I tend to get sucked into chat. The next thing I know, it's 3 hours later and I've covered no news. But I'm still in that politics channel. You know where to find me. Yeah.
I will say, James, you were fortunate enough to skip a phase of streaming that many beginning streamers have to force themselves through, which is literally talking to an empty chat room for months at a time. Yeah. Here on Twitch?
Yeah, in 2019, late 2019, Act TV started on Twitch.
Oh.
And it was myself and Juliana, and I would basically break down Fox and Friends every day, having been somebody who was a producer and worked in TV. Yeah. And the first month or so, we were trying to stream at night. Like we were up against like Hassan, and like we just like popped up in like politics. We're like, yeah, let's watch 4 hours of Fox and Friends. after like a week, I was like, Juliana, I'm really glad I have you because technically I'm not talking to myself. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like
So,
that.
so there's some more advice. If you're just starting off streaming, have a co-host. At least you have someone to talk to for a while. It's cool.
It's good. All right. Well,
Good
in that
advice.
case, you've proved your streamer creds, and the diploma's in the mail. Okay. Well, James, that wraps up my questions for you. This brings us to your chance to ask me any questions. If the chat has any questions for James, this is your chance, and you could literally ignore everything that you don't want to answer, or just ignore everything.
I answered just about everything.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
question. I do have a question for you. I thought about this. Now that you've done like 80 of these interviews and you're still doing them and they're scheduled.
Yeah.
Here's my question, Dan. When do I get you come on when I'm streaming and have a totally non-planned, no questionnaire, hangout, shoot the shit conversation?
Okay.
That's my question. How do we make that happen?
Well, we stream at different times. You usually stream when?
3 to 7 Eastern. So for you, would be like 2 to 6.
Yeah. So
normally when I stream,
sort of like when I'm wrapping up is when you're doing maybe in the middle or towards. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Pretty much anytime we can make that happen. And James, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but we're planting seeds right here. You know, I'm hoping to bring back my guests. This is such a formal, structured chat, and it sort of sucks in a sense, but it's good. We get to know you, and plant some seeds so that we can return and see what's growing and maybe plant some more. But in return visits, I hope next time we chat, we're gonna throw the format out the window. We're just gonna chat about whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
Nice.
Yeah, that's sort of the idea so far. I'm calling this round 1, and then our round 2 chat can just round 3, round 4, whatever, anything we want. I want to be able to sort of try to connect some links in our community, and then plant some seeds and see what grows. Yeah, buddy.
Nice.
That's the idea.
Hold on.
I was wondering this myself. Hilarious. Yeah, what got you banned on Twitter?
I called Tommy Lahren the 6th generation anchor baby of an undocumented Russian immigrant about a week after I got into it with Steven Crowder over his "Socialism is for Figs" t-shirt. And apparently anchor baby is a hate term. And so, of course, Tommy Lahren, the one who's all pro free speech and against snowflakes, her and all her snowflakes promptly mass reported me. And I got a lifetime ban for hateful conduct. I've been banned for about 2.5 years now from Twitter. I got my live stream account banned by Max Holt, the guy who owns and runs Livestream, because I got sick of free beta testing his platform and crapped all over him in a magazine interview. I'm still on Facebook, but my large page, which has 1.3 million followers, is almost permanently suspended. I always pick up 30-day bans every time I post on it now. It's the last big anarchist page on Facebook. So it's just lying fallow. It's a Revolution News. You can go find it. It's on Facebook. So pretty much now I'm on Twitch, and that's it. And yes, thank you for liking me in Clerks. I very much do look like Silent Bob with a cigarette and a long pea coat. Oh no, I do. I dressed up as for Halloween at least twice. It was a gimme. Oh, I got a coat and a cigarette. I can do that one.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a crowd pleaser, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Just sit there and shut up and just smoke and pop my head a lot.
What's your jersey you got on there? It's an NFL
throwback AFC Titans jersey from the 50s.
Wow. What? Titans from the 50s?
Yeah, the AFL Titans. The New York Titans.
Wow. I don't even... That's the thing?
I'm old school like that. Snoochie Boochies.
Snoochie Boochies.
You always have a fun chat. I always have fun hanging out.
Your chat's fun too.
It's something.
Are you at partner level yet? I mean, you probably got to be getting close to partner. Are you? Is that bad form to ask? I don't know.
No, it's fine. I've had this conversation with a couple of people.
I'm sorry.
I don't. No. I only stream 3 days a week. Like technically, I would hit the minimum number. Like I hit the minimum numbers now, as far as both how many people come by and the number of hours I stream. But there's so many other people who grind, like who stream like, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, or people who are like officially partner pushing. And I don't, my full-time gig is on YouTube, like, because I'm making the videos. If I ever lose my gig, I will go to streaming full-time and I will probably partner. But it's just, I think it would just be kind of, I don't know, it's almost dicky for me to go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, I've been back for 3 months on Twitch, I'm gonna go become a partner now, like, because I have some YouTube videos that get 1,000 views. I don't know, it just seems like some shitty petite bourgeoisie sort of thing to do, like. So it's we just hang out. Hey, sometimes it's 50 people, sometimes it's like 200. It's always a hoot. We play disco. It's really neat.
Hey, James, for whatever it's worth, I don't exactly feel the same way that you feel about that, and that's as me, watching someone like you come over to the platform and do really well. That's a good thing. It's a good thing for us to see this happen. So. While I hear what you're saying, and I think that's a thoughtful thing, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with it. If you were to partner up, my opinion of you wouldn't change at all. I'd be totally stoked for you. But you're obviously a nice, thoughtful guy.
I'd be stoked for me too, but there are other people I would be more stoked for.
Yeah.
So, it's not, for me, it's not a necessity to, hey, I got a check mark now, I can drive more traffic. Like I'm good. I got the YouTube videos every day. Like I come on, it's therapy. It's fun. Like if I make it like a job, then it won't be fun.
Someone's bringing up something in chat right now. And I'm very happy they brought this up. You joined, Lance from the Surfs and, gave a lashing to Redacted from Redacted, and it was absolutely entertaining and totally deserved. And, yeah, thanks for doing that. And I don't know, any other thoughts about that? That experience?
It wasn't planned. I was literally sitting on my couch and people were like, Lance wants to talk to you. You got to get into Discord right now. And I'm like, okay. And then the next thing I know, I'm like getting sucked into a live debate about the efficacy of a 7-year-old story that has 1/8 of the legal documents published. And I'm like, really, this is the hill you want to do? Like, it just seemed like a really weird hill to die on. And full disclosure, I'm friends with Justin. Okay. So just from like a solely personal standpoint, somebody that you've been in some shit with, somebody comes after them, your first reaction should be to, go off. Like it's what I would expect. Like, and I wasn't a fan about how the whole thing shook down. I didn't like what seemed to me a very dishonest, obvious reasoning as an excuse for all of it. I didn't buy it. I tend to call bullshit when I see it. I could have been right. I could have been wrong. I think most people would say it turns out I was right. And it was a bullshit cloud chase for some excuses. And if I was wrong, I probably would have eaten a lot more shit than I did. But, look, no fallout. It's almost like I wasn't wrong. So, yeah, glad that worked out the way it did, because it could have gone the other way.
That was about a month ago, right? And I feel like I'm not sure if I had the idea to do the show by then, or if that was in motion at all. But it was sort of a thing that gave me focus, because I want to build leftist unity, strength, and power. And I look at him and I'm like, I don't think he does. Redacted from Redacted, and it just sort of maybe solidify the fact for me that doing a show like this and doing the kind of content that I make is needed, because that's currently what we have, and we deserve better. We don't have the time or the luxury to deal with bad faith actors, and yeah. All right. Any other questions from chat? The final round. That was absolutely fascinating, though. So fucking fun.
I do try. It's I'm always boggled. People are like, your life is so fascinating. I'm like, it's literally just like I wake up every day and figure out how to get to the end of the day, and then weird shit happens in the middle. Like, I wish I could tell you I gave much of this thought, but my life is, I've just pretty much been like a leaf on a breeze, man. I go where it blows, dude.
Hey, a lot of people think, look at you and they see that you figured it out in a way. That's good. That's good.
Oh God, no. God,
No.
nobody believed that about anybody. We're all faking it until we make it.
Yeah.
We're all faking it. We are all schmeckles of dust in a gigantic, humongous fucking sandbox. None of us know what we're doing. None of us have a plan. Don't look at people and go, oh, they really got their shit together. No, they're slightly better at acting than you are. Don't fall for that.
I will never be caught on record saying you got your shit together, James, but I will say you've got some shit figured out. You've got some shit figured out.
That's fair.
Just like you just mentioned. All that shit right there was fantastic. Well, James, I think that's a perfect time to wrap things up. This is an absolutely nice chat. And again, I'm hoping that we're planting seeds. I'm hoping we could return to these to what we chatted about, and I'm hoping we can plant some new seeds down the road and just and continue the talk and continue the work of building leftist unity, strength, and power. So
I appreciate what you're doing, Dan. This is a good thing.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. If I got your thumbs up, that means a lot to me. All right, buddy. Well, with that said, peace and solidarity, comrade. We'll see you next time.
Peace, brother. Cheers, everybody.
All right. Okay, it just looks broken, but it's not. Woo! Yo, that was really cool. James had great stories. Those were awesome stories. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.